Get notifications and stay updated every time I post a challenge podcast by hitting the subscribe button. Thank you all and hope you enjoy. What's going on, everybody? Back here with another episode of my podcast. This is episode number 38, and today I got a guest joining me now. He's from Real World back to San Diego, and Exes one, Nate Stodghill. Thanks for joining me today, Nate.
What's up, buddy? Thanks for having me. I'm glad we finally got to get some time and figure everything out. It's been kind of a pain.
Yeah, for sure. I look forward to doing this. But first off, how are you doing? How has quarantine life been for you thus far?
So, to be honest, it's been great. I have a business out here, and all of my competition called in sick. Business kind of went up through the roof. So it's just been crazy busy. Work, go to work, go home, go to sleep, repeat. That's about it. So I've been social distancing, just not on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people are, in some cases are like happy with like not having to maybe physically go in person to work and stuff, but I guess time will tell how this all plays out. I mean,
it's definitely interesting. I'm more interested to see how the market adjusts, because I'm gonna call it an acute let's say flux in the market, and I think you're going to see some rapid adjustment coming back. And actually, my brother and I are into trading stocks a little bit. And when the whole toilet paper thing started happening, I was like, well, everybody's going to buy toilet paper, but who's going to think to buy ammonia? So we purchased some foreign ammonia, and we actually turned a pretty decent profit. It's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. But let's just get right into this thing. So obviously you're on the Real World back to San Diego season. So coming into that, I kind of want to ask you, like, what were maybe some hobbies of yours, or what were you up to before getting onto the Real World? But before I you answer my question, I want to point out, because I actually looked up, and you were like quite the football player. I saw that you played college football, and it seemed like Zach, obviously his football background kind of garnered most of the attention going into that season. That was kind of like his storyline. So maybe you being a football player as well kind of got swept under the rug. So could you maybe talk to me a little bit about what you were maybe up to before getting onto the Real World and your football experience?
Yeah, so growing up, I was always an athlete. Baseball was more my first love, if you will. And then going into college, I was being recruited for both baseball and football. I ended up going football for a number of reasons. But Zach and I both played D2. I believe he was a wideout, which it's a big-ass wideout. I was a middle and weak side linebacker. It kind of makes sense. He was the jack dude. I was going into it, so my play weight was around 250. But going into it, going into the show, I think my TV weight was around 198. So I'd cut a lot of weight for that. And then, of course, like on the challenge, I totally blew it. But we'll get to that point later. But yeah, I've always been an athlete. I still work out today. I try to get up to they've got some cool turf fields out here. I'll go out and run sprints, run routes, and still like to play pickup games and stuff like that. So, but yeah, mostly my hobbies back in college. I went to an engineering university, so it was like 9 to 2 guys to girls. So there wasn't really, chasing any chicks or anything. So it was just working out, getting drunk, doing board races. That's really all it was.
Doesn't get any better than that, though, right?
Oh man, living the dream.
Yeah, but what about your casting story in particular? Like, talk to me a little bit about your process and maybe what went into that, and kind of how you got into the Real World and what made you want to try out.
Yeah, so actually, I was a motivational speaker for a while after I got off the show, and this is a big part of the motivational speech. It's pretty crazy. So one night we had, so remember, there's not a lot of girls at the university I went to. We had girls there. We're playing some drinking games. We call them imports because they're clearly not from around there. So we had some imports in, and we're playing beer pong, and like it gets stupid, like, oh, if we win, you got a streak, and blah blah blah, and like the casting was gonna be up at Mizzou that next week. Some people were going up there to try out, and they said, well, if we win, you have to try out for the show, because everybody was like, you got to try out. So, all right, cool. Like, if we win, you're going to streak. But if you win, then I have to try out for some stupid show. Well, they fucking won. So, I said, all right, well, the hell with it. I'm not going to go to some cattle call, but I'll write an email. Whatever. And so I wrote like a 3-sentence email. I said, I teach radionuclide chemistry. What was it? I'm 20 years old. I teach radionuclide chemistry. I've dealt with, at that point, I think I said I dealt with 5 suicides, and I'm the craziest motherfucker I've never met. And then I just sent him a picture. I was like, ha. And then I got an email back. It was some paperwork that they wanted me to fill out, like this questionnaire. So I got hammered, and I filled it out like a fucking asshole. It was great. Like, one of them was like, how do you feel about animal rights? And I'm like, PETA's for fucking whack jobs and lonely people. And then it's like, how do you feel about gay rights? And I'm like, I bet they got sucked into it. Stupid shit like that. And then I get a call from Bunim Murray. It was a blocked number. And this guy's like, yo, we're going to be up in Mizzou next week. If you want to come up, we have a little private interview for you. I was like, look, I was drunk. Not that big a deal. I don't really care. And at the time, I had a job offer as a petroleum engineer, even though my undergrad's nuclear, but it was a petroleum engineer for a company called Helmerich & Payne. So I was like, look, it's not that big a deal. I was drunk. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go to some cattle call. The guy's like, no, we love what you did, and we're going to actually have you in on Sunday. The cattle call's on Saturday. Because there's something with the cast, at least back then it was, like, you get like a VIP pass, which honestly is just bullshit. And, you don't really get picked for shit like this. And, it's just like one of those things. So I was like, it's not that big a deal. I'm not going. And he's like, no, you're coming in Sunday. The cattle call Saturday. I was like, okay. And at the time, a friend of mine from high school was cheering for Mizzou. So I was like, all right, I got the weekend off anyway. I'll go catch, a Mizzou game. I'll stay with her. And then I'll go, I'll hit up the casting thing on Sunday. So I was like, make a weekend of it. What's the worst that's going to happen? You just go get hammered at Mizzou. So this is my first in-person casting. And I go to Mizzou, get hammered. And I show up to this. It was at this hotel. I think it was Holiday Inn. And I show up in the lobby, and there's just a bunch of like jack dudes and hot chicks in the lobby. At the time, I was looking pretty good. Like, I wasn't Zach, but I was looking decent. I was like, huh, okay, I see what they're after here. And then like there was like a not a tussle per se, but you could tell there was some movement with some people in the lobby, and they're like, oh, that's him, blah blah blah. So then like a bunch of people were ushered upstairs. And then this guy came up to me. He's like, excuse me, sir, are you Mr. Stodghill? I said, you tell me, buddy. I don't know what the hell I'm expecting here. Like, fuck it. And he's like, well, you can come right this way. So I bypass, all the jack dudes and the hot chicks. And they take me back to this elevator. We go all the way up. And we get into, they had turned like this suite into this, like a set. So we walk in, and like the people that had gone, so there were other people that were sitting downstairs apparently waiting for me, and they had all gone upstairs to watch this interview. And this whole thing's in a set, and like they open the door, and I'm like, damn, dude, like what am I getting? They had like a camera here and some over here, some people are in the back, and they had like, all your marks and shit, and I was like, whoo, this looks real. Yeah, buddy. And so pretty much what they did is they just asked me a bunch of the questions in that little questionnaire thing. And then they went into a little bit of my backstory with like, the suicides, why I'm a nut job. They wanted to know about the engineering stuff, and I'm a womanizer, got into that. We laughed, we cried, we had fun, we were angry, everything was great. And so he's like, all right, well, thanks. We'll call you. I'm like, that's it? Like, you're going to call me on special Sunday and you just fuck me, I guess? He's like, well, there's a long process and we can't really tell you anything. I was like, all right, I get it. Just tell me no. It's cool. And so about a week goes by, maybe 2 weeks. I don't know. But I get an email from Buena Murray, and they're like, hey, you're going to go to regionals. It's over in Memphis. And I was like, okay, that seems real. So I said, and it turned out that my dad, he was a regional sales manager for AC Delco at the time, and he actually had to be in Memphis that week. So I said, well, fuck it, I'll jump in the car with you. Let's go to Memphis. It's kind of working out. And I don't know that I would have gone to Memphis at this point. Maybe I would have just to do it, but I didn't have any real reason to be there. So I went to Memphis, and it's almost identical to what I did at Mizzou. But there was an added like the gal left the room and I had to do like the private take with the camera. That was the only thing to me that was different. So did that, same thing, except for nobody was in the room this time, whereas the first one they were. But this one, she's like, all right, great, thanks, we'll call you. I'm like, I'm just wasting my time. This is retarded. Like, what am I doing? And so this time about a month goes by, and let's see, it might have been longer than a month. But I'm sitting in my senior design class, and which is just the last class before your degree gets conferred, and I'm sitting in there, and we're just going over bullshit at this point. Like, the actual design all takes place like in the group sessions, not during the actual lecture. So we're all just sitting there dicking off, and I get a little pop-up on my computer, right? And it's like, Buena Murray, and like I click it, and it's like, congratulations, you're going to LA for your final interview. And it's dead ass quiet in there, and I go, oh my god. And like everybody looks at me like, what's your problem? And I'm like, I can't even explain it. And then like the chick next to me, I like showed it to her, and remember, it's dead quiet again. She goes, oh my god. And I was like, what? And so like so as a senior and stuff, coming out of at least my university, like they know that you're getting a bunch of calls for jobs and stuff, so it's pretty accepted and pretty normal for you to just get up and take a call in the middle of class, because typically it's for like work shit. And so I just stood up. I was like, I gotta go. And the teacher was like, all right, cool, whatever. I was like, it's got to do with work, kind of. And so I just went home and just told my buddy, I was like, bro, it's fucking real. And he's like, what? I was like, down for look, we gotta get hammered. So I think it was about 2 weeks after that, I fly into LA, and I actually sat next to one of the Real Housewives of one of those shows. By the way, I don't watch TV, so I don't know a lot of this stuff. And rewind a little bit on that note. I showed my sister the invitation to LA, and I was like, Shannon, what is this? Because I didn't know what the real, like, I knew of it, but I didn't, because I thought you could still get voted off. And I was like, Shannon, what is this? And she's like, where did you get that? I was like, whoa, bro. Like, I don't know, but what the fuck is this? And she loves all that shit. And so she was like, she showed me an episode of Vegas, because that's what was showing at the time. And so I watched it, and I was like, so hold on. I go to some place, I don't have to do anything, and they can't vote me off. She's like, well, not unless you fight somebody. I'm like, I'm gonna fight her, so they can't vote me off. So I just go and do nothing. I'm gonna do that. I was like, shit, I think I'm gonna do this. And she's like, oh my god, I can't believe it. So I go to LA. Now, whenever you get a job offer coming out of an engineering university, you have some time to say yes or no, okay? Because they understand that you're receiving quite a few jobs at the time. And so when I go to LA, the my offer from Helmerich and Payne had expired that day. So the PA comes to pick me up from the hotel room. He's like, I'm told not to let you drink. I said, well, I have to pee. Can you stop at a gas station? I go in, I rip a Four Loko. I get back in the car. And we go to this thing, and I'm like nervous because I know that Helmerich and Payne is supposed to call me today. And so now I'm like, dude, I'm getting nervous. And I don't even know if I'm on the show, right? And we're sitting in. So the way that it was, I believe somebody told me afterwards it was Zach, but they had to like funnel us around because they didn't want us to see each other because we were both in the studio at the same time. So they had to like funnel me over here and then push me over here, and then I had to go sit in the green room or some shit. So I get a phone call while I'm sitting in that room, and it's I don't want to say his name, but it was the CEO's. So like I'm not like a super duper petroleum engineer. It's just my grandfather had worked for them for a number of years, and I had met with the CEO at his retirement party, and he was like, well, hey, if you get this, then come and, give us a talk. So it was the CEO's assistant, and she's like, hey, Mr. Yada Yada was wondering why you haven't signed your offer letter yet and get it back to us because the thing expires today. And I was like, oh, yeah. Like trying to play stupid. She's like, this is the largest offer we've ever given a kid in college. And I was like, What I should have done was just say yes and then just not show up, right? But what I did was I go, I'm working on another project right now. She's like, excuse me? I was like, yeah. She's like, but you're not taking the offer? I was like, no. So she's like, okay. And then just hangs up. And then now I start getting hysterical because I'm like, fuck. I just told a massive job now. I'm 20 years old at the time. And I'm like, I don't even know. I think I'm going to be on this stupid show. Like, what am I thinking? Like, So the PA thinks I'm an absolute nut job. And because I'm losing my shit off of a phone call, and I'm like sweating. I'm like, dude, what the fuck did I just do? This is crazy. But here was my thought process. Is it was more like I can go be an engineer like the rest of my life. That's going to be there forever. But you don't really have like an opportunity like this at all, really. It's less than once in a lifetime because everybody wants to do it, but not everybody gets it. So, and I didn't like the thought of monotony. That's one of my biggest fears. And I had the rest of my life just done. It was planned at that point. And I also had this weird inkling that I could change the world with this weird newfound respect for life that I had from experiencing all of these suicides, right? And so I was like, I've got a story to tell, and I think it'll help people. And I'm just crazy enough to think I could change the world. So that's really what took over in my thought process. So I go into the last interview. People are in the room again. There's more cameras in this one. And we laughed, we cried, we got mad. It was great. And it was all over the board. I mean, I'm clearly way too animated. So it was great. And so at the end of it, I'm like, guys, look, you know more about me than I know about me. I just told that job no. You already know his job, so I'm not even going to tell you. Am I on the show or not? Because if not, I have to go find a whole ass engineering job, and that's kind of tough. And they're like, we don't know. I'm like, bro, come on. You've been feeding me that bullshit every step of the way. You got to give me something. They're like, legit, we don't know because we're just being a Murray. We also have to get approved from, I think, what's her name? Finch or something over at MTV. And I was just like, what the fuck? Which, find out later, she was one of the people that came to my the Zoo interview. I thought that was kind of cool. But I'm just sitting here like, fuck. So I go home. I straight up fucking graduate with no job. And I walk across the stage and I leave college, like I'm done with that. So I just went home and I'm just waiting. I'm like, what the fuck did I do? Like, oh, by the way, this is the only stage they'll call you if it's a no. All the other ones, they just don't call you. Fuck you, you know? But this one, they'll actually tell you no. So I know I'm at least getting a call. So one day, me and full disclosure, me and some buddies and a lot of pretty ladies, we were skinny dipping out in the middle of a pond, drinking, and my phone starts going off, and I'm like, oh no, like you want to answer it but you don't, and I knew exactly who it was, so I'm like swimming over, you know, and I'm like, yeah, it's them. Oh God. And I get up on the dock and I answer it, and it's Jim, and he's like, hey, Mr. Stodghill, how you doing, sir? I said, fucking you tell me, man, because you know where I'm at. Like, I have to go be a big boy if this isn't real. And he goes, well, you know, we've considered your application, you know, long and hard, and I just wanted to apologize and say, and then like 19 people on the other end of the line go, welcome to the family. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? And I shit you not, I puked right there. It's the only way I could put it is like it felt like I won the lottery, just like that. Like all at once, it just whoosh, and I was just like, whoa. And that was my casting process.
Wow, that is quite the story. I'm not gonna lie. Out of
Yeah.
all, that's usually like my go-to point initially with most of my interviews I've done. But yeah, that's definitely one of the most like compelling ones that I've heard thus far. So.
Yeah, I sweat every time I tell that story, but I try to use that in the motivational speak to like interject or to influence people, you know, to maybe think, you know, more think about do what you love and what you're more passionate and ambition about, as opposed to doing what you're told. You know, I mean, you get it. I mean, you're doing the podcast, and so you kind of, and not a lot of people respect that. What would you call it? The sovereignty behind doing what you like to do. You know, a lot of people go to the 9 to 5, and I can't do that. I just can't do it. And anyways, I digress.
Yeah, but I want to ask you now about your overall experience on your real world season.
You know, it was just as great as it was. It was also just as bad at times. A part they didn't show was my nephew almost passed away when he was born. I almost had to fly back for that. And, you know, I think Frank was going to go with me, and I think Sam was going to try to come with me. He ended up turning around to a point to where I didn't have to go back at that point. But whenever I first got the call, you know, that was just kind of heart-wrenching, and like, you know, a camera comes up right in your face and you're just like, come on. And like, you could tell, you can always kind of tell something's up. Like they don't fuck with you at all. They try to be completely off, you know, hands off, unlike, you know, some of the other reality shows where they try to influence. But you can kind of tell something was up because they had like 2 crews there when they only really needed 1. And then like there was one following me, and I was like, the fuck? Like, I'm in the house. Go away. There's cameras in the house. Why the fuck you got one following me? And then that's when Frank was like, yo, Nate, you got a message. It sounds weird. And I was like, fuck? And then that's when I found out. So, yeah, I could kind of tell. But, I mean, at the same token, you know, it was just amazing. Like, you know, just the people you got to meet. I mean, my roommates are immaculate, amazing people. You know, each one of them is just, I'm just so lucky to know and to have them be at least a part of my life in that sense, and to mold who I am a little bit. I got to learn a lot from all of them. The people in San Diego, got to meet them. They're magnificent creatures. And yeah, it was, you know, people always ask, you know, if you had a chance to go back and do it again, would you? Yeah, I would. But and a lot of that is because of that story I wanted to tell. I was lucky enough to be able to get that story out, and you know, I traveled the world. I mean, I went through like 4 or 5 different countries, went through like 30 some odd states, giving this speech to different universities and stuff. So that you know, just like I said, I was foolish enough, or foolhardy enough anyway, to think I could change the world, and I like to think I did for that little blip, that little flash in the pan that I had, and I'm thankful for that. So, to answer your question, it was great. It was awesome.
So now I want to shift into the challenge. So coming on to your first season, it's Exes won. You're coming in as a rookie, but you know from your season, and it's been pretty well documented that Zach and Ashley both pretty much had ambitions to want to go on the show, right? And like they were a couple at the time, so the Exes theme, couple theme, was kind of maybe more catered towards them, but you know you and Priscilla actually made it onto the challenge first out of all your roommates, so I'm kind of ask you now, what was your feelings and thoughts coming on to the challenge? Was it something that you had plans on doing, and maybe your thoughts on being paired up with Priscilla?
Yeah, so I never really. I'm a small town kid, so if I'm on one show, there's no way I'm banking on two. And I think whenever we went to shoot the X's, I'm pretty sure Zach and Ashley were still trying to do the damn thing. So I don't think that would have exactly catered to being an X per se. And then I think Frank was the one that said, because I think Frank was the highest rated character, but I think he said I was the highest popular rating. So he had like people that loved and hated him, so he had a higher rating. So he thought that's why. I don't know where you find that out, by the way. I have no idea, so don't quote me on that. But he thought that's why that Priscilla and I got picked up. But I can tell you, I was not prepared at all. I mean, you can see, like, if you go back and look at my photos for that show, like, I was so out of shape. I mean, it was ridiculous. And so, like, we got done filming Real World, and then I was on a plane to the Dominican in, like, 3 or 4 weeks. So I had no time to train. I mean, I guess, sure, I could have trained on the show, on the Real World, but nobody's fucking doing that. Like, no. Like, yeah, okay. Zach's gonna go lift weights, but he's not. You're not training, Like if I were to actually go through like calisthenics and train aerobically as well as resistance and I could have done so, or even agilities even. Fuck, I could have put myself in shape to do a lot better, but I only had 3 weeks, and I was like, fuck it, let's just go. And like I told you, and I've always known this. If you can get voted off on a show, I'm getting voted off first. I don't know why. It's just a thing. I'm pissing somebody off. I'm going to fuck something up, and away Nate goes. But, oh well. It was sweet. I mean, it was really cool, so whatever.
Yeah. Were you, glad to, have Priscilla as a partner? Because, I mean, with the whole theme and stuff, you had, like, some of the pairs that were, like, legit, like, focal points of like the show, of like that was their thing, like they're a couple, or like legit Exes, whereas like maybe you and Priscilla weren't like totally fall under that category, but what was like your thoughts on having her as like a partner going into things?
I mean, she wasn't athletic and never pretended to be. I had an athletic background, but clearly didn't show. She's, yeah. I mean, I think we made out once, and then she tried to bang me in Cabo, but that was about it. Yeah. As far as, so I didn't really consider us Exes, but I didn't really care either. I knew we weren't gonna win. I mean, if I wasn't my own handicap to begin with, she certainly would have taken care of it at that point.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, plus, some of those lifers on the challenge, those fuckers train year round, man. You go do your appearances and then you train, and that's all you do until you get the call again. So it's like, yeah, you guys have been training for a year. I have been training not. So I'm fucked. Mm-hmm. Now, if it would have been like a puzzle or like a math game or some shit, yeah, I would have smoked their ass. But it wasn't, and I was way out of shape. So win some, you lose some. Win some, you lose the rest,
Yeah, definitely. So now I'm gonna ask you, who do you think that you may have resonated most with, and maybe who did you not resonate with on that season of the challenge?
Oh man. Uh, a lot of them really liked me. Nisa was cool. Fuck, she loves me. I love her. Ty was cool. Mark kind of took me under his wing. That was really nice of him. I really appreciated that. Robin seems crazy. Wes actually really did take me under his wing because he's from Kansas City as well. Actually, I just talked to him about a week ago. No shit.
Wow.
And I really like Wes. Shannon says that he's cut like a dick on the show sometimes, but I don't really give a fuck because I don't watch the show, so whatever. But no, I liked Wes a lot, and he and I actually were looking to go into business together because he's also an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur, reality show, and Kansas City. It only made sense that we would get along well. But then another thing, I did MTV Spring Break with Nick, Cy, CT, and Knight, and a couple others. I don't really remember. Oh, Rob. No.
Rob, yeah.
Yeah, he might have been there. I don't know. But CT and I got along really well. And we were roomies. And me, C, and Nick, we had this penthouse down in Padre. And oh, boy. We partied, man. And Cy's a cool dude, too. I mean, he's an OG and like, you think he can't get down with the get down just because he's 97 years old, but he'll fucking get after it. He's a cool dude too, man.
Yeah, definitely. I actually had Cyrus on, a few, little ways back, and he's actually coming back on my channel Thursday. We're recapping the finale. So
yeah. Tell him I said suck my nuts.
What about Johnny Bananas, though? Because that was kind of Wes's sworn enemy for, pretty much 15 years of the show. So I'm going to ask you.
I don't know. Yeah, I could just be like a Wes homer, but even though he and I really didn't talk about it when I was on the show, but all Johnny has to say is who the fuck is Nate? But fuck, that guy just annoyed the shit out of me. Like, to be honest, and like I was real quiet, which I know that sounds a little far fetched, but I really was just because I was trying to get to know everybody. There's a shit ton of personality in the room, and I was a rookie. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I was kind of quiet, during a lot of the, setup and a lot of the back film stuff. But, dude, that guy would just, like, say stupid shit that he thought was funny, and I'm just like, that wasn't funny at all. And then he'd, like, laugh at it, and I'm like, dude, I laugh at my own jokes. I get it, but, I don't get it. Oh, Sarah Rice. I don't think she's a fan of mine either. She knew. Although she was nice to my face, and she's like a camp counselor thing. She's adorable. I think she's a sweetheart. She does not like me. I feel. I could be wrong. Mm-hmm. And who was Ty was a cool motherfucker. He and I sat on the plane together. We kicked it hard. But who was he banging on the show? Some chick out of she was from Missouri. No.
Not Paula? His ex, you mean?
Yeah, she was from Missouri. Emily something. Yeah. I like Emily a lot too. She and I hung out pretty hard. She's a sweetheart as well.
Mm.
Yeah, she was from Missouri too, so we kind of broed out about that. And she has a cool backstory too. If you ever get a chance to get that out of her.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about kind of what I'd say is, your most notable moment,
Oh, fuck.
The whole, you kind of made up for it a little bit with your showing in the elimination, maybe surprise people. What about the honey challenge?
Yeah. So, all right. Those little, by the way, those little Speedo things they put you in, those aren't spandex. Those fucking hurt. And I had real fucking fat legs, and it was just like, so you couldn't really move it on. Not that that's an excuse. I have a much better excuse, but those things suck. So we were running low on time or something. Notice nobody slipped. Nobody slipped until the round with me and C. And then we both slipped, if you fucking recall.
Yeah.
That's because the very last round, they didn't wash it off in between rounds. They washed it off on all the other ones, but we run out of time, and they didn't wash it off on that one. That's why we were the only ones that slipped. The fucked up part is I slipped the whole fucking way down into the goddamn Atlantic and fucked that whole thing up. Here's what happens, man. I was already doused in honey, right? And I slipped because they didn't fucking clean it off because they're assholes. I mean, I could walk on a plank this big. My foot fit on it. It wasn't a big deal. But I slipped and I went in. Honey plus fucking seawater is slippery as shit. Honey and honey, you can kind of get a little tackiness. Honey and seawater, you're fucked. And the whole thing is doused in honey because they didn't clean it off anyway. I was fucked. Once I hit the water, I shouldn't have even gone back up. I didn't know it at the time, and who the fuck knows that unless you're actually doing that. But yeah, I just remember I remember getting in the little vat and I'm coming back and I just fell. And I just remember thinking, oh boy. And then, like, I swim over, and mind you, I'm out of shape. I don't know the last time I ran at this point, and not a strong swimmer, not very buoyant. So I'm trying to fucking swim on this thing, gonna climb this stupid ass ladder that I'm now soaking in honey water, which is slippery as fuck. Get up there, doused in honey water, try to walk across that. I fell the second time. I was like, yeah, this seems right. This makes sense. So fucking swim back over, go back up, same shit, fuck up again. All the way to my shame. I fucking swim back over, like I'm straight up thinking I'm having a fucking stroke because I am not prepared for this shit. I fucking climb up and Priscilla's like, you want me to go? I'm like, what the fuck? What's the point now? So she goes to go. They're like, no, you have to go in the same order. I'm like, fuck. So I just went again, fell again, and then I just, at this point, I mean, I could have kept trying, but I'm fucked anyway because they're already filling up their little pail thing. And everything's soaked in honey water. And I was like, oh, this is just useless. So I'm just trying to crawl back up. And I just sit there. I was like, this is fucked. Finally, the stupid ass horn goes up, and I was like, no way. I just had the worst outing of all fucking time. Oh, dick. And then we get over there. Oh, by the way, Chelsea, or not Chelsea, Sarah pops off some little thing like, well, that's what you get for drinking all night. First of all, me, Wes, and C got hammered the night before, and I straight up fucking half-cocked. I remember me and C are sitting in the bus. He looks over at me like, bro, you hungover? I'm like, no, dude, I'm still drunk. He's like, fuck. So, anyway, Sarah's like, well, that's what you get for drinking all night and passing out on the back porch. And I'm like, I don't think she likes me. Touche, Sarah. I don't give a fuck. So then we all line up. TJ's looking at me like he's judging my family. He's like, wow, Nate, I can honestly say that's the worst outing I've ever seen. I'm like, I can't fucking say anything, can I? Because that's probably right. So I'm going to sit here and take it like a bitch. Like, whatever. So, yeah, well, the rest is history. So there's that bullshit.
I remember this morning I turned on the episode, and your confessional afterwards when you're like, yeah, I'm sorry I didn't practice walking on honey at home. Fucking kill me.
Dude, like I couldn't really talk about some of the specifics as to like the honey water and stuff and like how they didn't clean it, but that's what happened. It pissed me off. God damn it.
So now, were you happy with the way you were edited or portrayed on Exes?
Yeah, on Exes or on the real world?
Exes.
Oh, I mean, fuck it. Sure, I don't care. I mean, wasn't really on there much. And I mean, I'm more self-deprecating than anybody else, and if anybody gets a sweet ass laugh out of that, fucking make it look funnier. I don't care. Plus, you kind of sign up for it too, So if people enjoyed it, enjoy it. Bon voyage.
Right. So then, obviously the next season after X's was Battle of the Seasons that, your roommates ended up going on making their, that was their first season. They ended up actually going on and winning that season. Um, were you called to do that season? And did you happen to, maybe watch them, win?
No, so I did get the call, and I don't know if they set me up as an alternate or what, but I knew whenever they told us it was going to be, well, they don't tell us, but we all figure out what it's going to be just because we know who's getting the call. We figured out it was Battle of Seasons. I was like, we're going to win. We're for sure going to win because, Frank's pretty athletic. Ashley's obviously athletic. Alex was on the Zimbabwe gymnastics team. And, I was a collegiate athlete, almost two sport, but I only chose one. And then Zach's collegiate athlete. So I was like, at that point, I was actually back in shape too. So it was like, we're gonna fucking win. We're gonna smoke everybody. I don't give a fuck who's gonna show up. You're fucked. But yeah, you just kind of knew that they were gonna win. That was it. And like, let's say it's like a puzzle challenge or something, or like a thinking game. Alex went to Stanford. I'm a nuclear engineer, and Frank's the damn, what was he, biomolecular from Middlebury. So we kind of had you had the athletic thing and you had the thinking game. Like we were gonna smoke them. But I think it was, who'd you have? Sam, Frank, Ashley, Zach. Yeah. You're gonna win that. On it, like obviously, of that crew, Sam is probably the least capable, like athletically, but I think Sam can really play into the social game. So she'll take that shit on lock, and away you go. I don't know how it worked out. I know they won. I don't know how the specifics worked out, but I kind of figured we'd win.
Mm-hmm. Were you open to coming back after, you obviously you only did one season, but were you open to the idea of coming back again?
Right away, not really. It was more just because, like, if you start becoming a lifer on that deal, like, you can't really have a real job. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, if I was going to be an engineer, I couldn't do that. And, if I'm going to go, start my own business, I can't go do that, So right out of the gate, no. I think now if if they would give me like 3 months, maybe let's just even say 2 months to like train, like legit train for it. I think I would be open now just because I'm more stable financially and my company's more stable and it can somewhat self-perpetuate. So I would be more apt to going now than henceforth.
Mm-hmm. So, what about your dynamic with, Zach and Frank now?
I mean, I love the guys. And last I checked, they like me as well. Last I talked to Frank, so Sam and I keep up still. She lives over by my brother. I see Sam. I probably talk to Sam once a week, and I'll probably see her once a month. And we always try to see each other on our birthdays and stuff. So, love her family. My family loves her. I mean, she's just great. But the last time I talked to Frank was with Sam. Sam came over. I think it was for my birthday. She came. I live in Charlotte now, so she came over to Charlotte, and we called Frank whenever we got hammered at the bar. And then I don't know the last time I talked to Zach, but I think I bullshit him on Facebook Messenger sometimes just to talk shit. Other than that, I don't think that we've kept up. I mean, but Zach's just a dude bro like I am, so like I know that if we were to chat or we just showed up, it would be like nothing ever, like we didn't miss a day or something. I mean, dude bros are terrible at keeping up anyway. So, but yeah, that's what I know of that. I think Frank's in L.A. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I saw Zach either got married or got engaged, something like that.
Yeah, he's getting married in February. He's engaged right now.
That's right. That's right. Because the last thing I said was thanks for the fucking invite. uh, so is he where's he? Is he in Detroit?
Yeah, he's yeah.
Cool. Cool.
So, what about or sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You.
I was gonna say, wasn't he dating Jamie or something?
He was dating this girl named John A. that he met.
That's it. That's
Yeah,
it. Because she had something to do with Knight, right?
yeah.
Was that right? I
Oh wait, no. It was this girl Ashley Feldman's the one that had to do with Knight that he was dating, but he was dating this girl John A. after that. Yeah.
okay. Because
And
I
now,
just remember because Knight did the spring break thing with me and C and Nick, and he was like, "Hey man, he might be cool, but I don't fucking like him." I was like, "Bro, that's like my dude. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You can't say that."
what is there anybody else that you talked to, or had contact with after the challenge?
I contacted TJ after his that what was his name? His friend committed suicide, the BMX guy. I just kind of wanted to reach out and say like, sorry for your loss, and if there's anything I can do anyway, feel free to reach out. Then I talked to Mark a little bit, talked to Emily a little bit. That's kind of it, really. I mean, CT and I got along well, like I said. That was more just from the spring break thing. Talked to Nick quite a bit since that deal too. But not yeah, and Abram, he knows we have a mutual friend, which is a crazy thing because I'm from a small town and she moved out to Colorado. And apparently, Abram knows him, so that was a fun little serendipitous happenstance, if you will. Yeah, other than that, I don't really, and it's my fault, I don't reach out, and just because I work so much, and perhaps it's my own selfishness, and I need to reach out more because I mean they're great people. Um, but yeah, and if they didn't do the spring break or the challenge or they weren't on my show, I don't know who they are. People ask me all the time like, "Oh, what do you think about Bibbidi Bop?" And I'm like, I don't know who it is. So you tell me, buddy. And then
Right.
Shannon, she'll have to explain to me like, I like him, but you might not like him. So she can kind of tell like if Wes or C gets along with them, then I'm probably gonna like him, and if they don't, then I'm probably not.
Mhm.
And if you want to use that as a gauge as to if I'm gonna like him, well, I mean, not that I fucking matter, but that's probably a good way to tell if I'm gonna like him.
Yeah. Were there any other funny stories or things not seen on air that you wished would have made it, or do you think we got?
Yeah, that's a lot of shit. A lot of shit I can't tell you either. Did Frank ever talk about did he ever talk about Mexico at all?
No.
I don't think I can talk about that one. Um, let's see. Man, I mean, there's a lot that they didn't show. I mean, there was one time that Sam and I snuck out of the house and went and hung out with a bunch of chicks, and we didn't come home. We actually lost the crew. And I'm telling you, these chicks, like, they were hot, but they were nuts, and we were down. So next thing you know, like, Sam's finger fucking some random chick in a place over here, and I'm getting busy with her sister. I mean, it was just wild. They would walk down the street and do this weird shit like this. They would go. Sam and I are like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "Just watch, a fucking cab will show up." And we were like, "What?" And sure as hell, the cab just goes, pulls right up to them, and we jump in and go to their apartment. And then like it was just random shit. There was a time. There was a time Sam and I were at a gay bar out in I think it was called Eden over in Hillcrest, and I picked up this super hot chick, and Sam picks up a pretty decent chick, and we're leaving, and Sam ditches me. She jumps in the cab in front of us and just leaves without letting me in, and I was like, "You're a dick." Well, it turned out, so I I ended up going back to this girl's place instead of the house, which I got in some deep shit for. But I show up and it's like a crack den, but it's the penthouse of one of the twin towers downtown in San Diego. It's the penthouse. So it's a massive establishment, but it looks like a crack den. There's just a mattress on the floor, and I was like, what the fuck? And then there's like 3 cross-dressers in there with like 3 other Navy guys, and I'm like, where am I? And like the chick, remember, I'm like, is one of the hottest girls that I've ever even seen. So we go in, and she keeps talking about her Bentley. I'm like, yeah, okay, you have a Bentley, whatever. Well, and we go into her room, and it's like decked out. Like back, she had a 70-inch curved 3D television. This is back in 2011. So if that tells you, like, this chick had everything in her room, but there's no furniture in the living room. It was weird. So I was like, and she takes me to Pride the next day in her Bentley. And I was like, turns out she is a sugar baby to a very famous person that I can't tell you.
Wow.
Yeah. So here I am with like 3 cross-dressers and 3 Navy guys and some bombshell in a crack den, and I'm like, this is awesome. Oh man, I mean, if I had a week, I couldn't tell you all the dumb shit that they weren't able to show.
I think those are good though. We could
Dude, at least back then, those people on Hillcrest now, they can fucking party. Like, they don't give a shit. And I'm like, let's go there. And I remember, like, Frank was like, hey, Nate, we're going to Hillcrest. You want to go? I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I do. I just remember, who the fuck was it? I think it was one of his ex-friends. They were like, why do you want to go? I'm like, you don't get it. You don't get it. It's wild out there. They're awesome.
So now, I guess just tell maybe our audience what you've been up to since, we've last seen you, and like maybe a brief, synopsis.
Yeah, well, since the show, I did some public speaking for a while. Like I said, I went through a number of countries. I actually helped Latvia build their own TLM. Spoke at Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Ukraine. We spoke on behalf of the government in an NGO called Scalpus for suicide awareness. And then after that, I got more into the entrepreneurship game because it was more like, all right, I got to do a bunch of cool shit. Now it's time to go make money. And so I was out in Virginia. I was in Indianapolis and I was in Virginia for a little bit, and then came over here to Charlotte, started as a structural engineer, doing some high-rise stuff and doing some product development. Then switched over, and the construction industry is crazy out here. So I switched it from structural engineering to entrepreneurship. I was president of a company for a while called Synergy Contracting, ran that company for a bit, had some creative differences with the partners at B. Then I started my own. So right now I'm just trying to get my company self-perpetuated. We do utilities, underground stuff, grading, demolition, framing. If you can make money at it, we've tried it. I mean, hell, just today we were talking about creating a new nuclear transport company for Class A and Class B for the NRC. But yeah, I mean, I kind of bounced around all over the place, just trying to, make $1 million so I could check that off the list and go figure out what's next in the old bucket list,
Yeah,
I don't know.
sure, man. That's the big. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this with me, man. This was, a ton of fun. I had a blast doing this. It was definitely one of the more, interesting ones. I'm glad you, gave me a lot to work with here. So,
Good. Well, thanks for having me on. If you ever want me to come back on and talk some more shit, I'm sure as
uh,
long as we can find the time, I'll make it happen.
yeah, I'll send you, the link when this is all up, and if you want to take a look. And yeah, thanks again, Nate.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, thanks for having me, bud.
All right, take care, man.
See ya.